Aesthetics in manga and anime. I think one of the things that I really do enjoy about reading a series is just seeing how visually pleasing it is to look at. And there's many different ways the series can go about doing such things. And so in this video, I kind of wanted to dedicate some time talking about some of my favorite aesthetics in manga. But before we do get into that, we need to talk about another thing that has honestly a sick aesthetic, and that is the sponsor for today's video, Dungeon Fighter Online. Dungeon Fighter Online is a free-to-play multiplayer, kind of hack and slash with side-scrolling sort of style. It's a 2D MMORPG, and there is an amazing amount of customization available in this game, which is something that I love immensely in these type of things. There's a new Blitz character advancement update for the Gunner class, as well as new events such as the Newbies Always Welcome event, the Level Up Booster Activated event, and all sorts of things to help your character level up. There will also be Twitch drop events from April 19th to May 17th, so make sure you check in on those streams, and there are over 700 million players registered already worldwide. Also, make sure you use the coupon code on the screen for 10 life tokens, 50 of Remy Sparkling Touch, and the Funky Avatar set. So make sure you check out the link in the description below, and go play Dungeon Fighter Online today. I will say, I can't really explain why, but the MMO type of RPG style many times can come off as generic, but certain settings do pull it off well. And I do think that sort of retro feel aesthetic is something that I've always been drawn towards immensely. Speaking of retro, I think retro anime in general there's just like a feel to it that just, I don't know if it's nostalgia, I don't know if it's the style in which things were animated back then, kind of the grain of it, if you will, but things like Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop, Akira, all have a feel to it that's just so natural. And I think that's kind of with cartoons in general, as I look at modern day stuff like the Looney Tunes show and the Tom and Jerry show, and it just looks so much worse to me than the original cartoons from back in the day. And in one of my previous videos, I had talked about Die Dark, done by the same author as Dorohedoro, Q Hayashida. And whilst I was reading through Dorohedoro, I started noticing that there were certain references in there that I hadn't noticed when I originally had read it. I recently got into their music, but when I started rereading through Dorohedoro, the dirty junkyard sort of feel that it always had with its world, it finally made sense. And I saw the inspiration which Dorohedoro got it from. That dirty, rough, metal-like feel came from my favorite band, Slipknot. Finding out that Q Hayashida, someone that I already had an immense crush towards, was a fan of Slipknot as well, made my entire month. And it just plays into everything that Dorohedoro has with masks, and I've always loved that when it comes to characters just in general. But then adding on top of the world that it has with this really weird, nasty, dirty, magic kind of thing that it's going for, it's all just beautiful. It's wacky, it feels thrown together, it's chaotic. And that's what I love so much about Dorohedoro's aesthetic. And I love it so much. That sort of rough sketch thrown together feel like series, Chainsaw Man has it a little bit. Even Jujutsu Kaisen has it here and there. I've just always loved it, and it's one of my favorite aesthetics, period. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, this is another series that I read relatively recently, and I must say, by far, it has some of the best fan art, period.
What do you mean by that?
And I think that's large due to the style of the series, and that's Land of the Lustrous. The characters are people made of gemstones with diamond hair and emerald hair and sapphire hair, so already their pure white skin in contrast with the bright colorfulness of their hair and eyes is already incredibly appealing, as well as the heavy use of just pure black tones and inking throughout the pages is something that the author uses to their advantage, really adding that contrast. Now, Land of the Lustrous is one of those series that is difficult to read, considering that all the characters look very similar until you get kind of used to them, so I do think a colored version does go a long way. But unlike Dorohedoro, Land of the Lustrous is very smooth, it's very clean, it's very minimalist in the way that it depicts its characters and the way that it kind of goes about things. When Foss, spoilers, if you haven't seen it, click off, watch something else. When Foss gets the gold kind of is it blood? I don't know. It's like basically the gold goo that the character gets. Whenever I see anything done with that in the series, it's beautiful to look at. So even though despite Land of the Lustrous art looks like something a 19-year-old chick who's heavily into yoga and constantly reminds you that you're a Libra would have hung up on her wall, it's still incredibly satisfying to look at.
Do the impossible.
Gurren Lagann. Can we just talk about the Gurren Lagann eye catchers? Tell me these things aren't some of the most dope things in anime and manga. This stuff looks so fire, and that's all I really need to say about it. What Gurren Lagann did with its animation is beautiful. I love it. Go watch Gurren Lagann. I know some of you at this point in the video might expect me to mention Chainsaw Man, but I'm actually going to take it back to one of the big inspirations for Chainsaw Man, and that is the author of Blam and Abara, Nihei. Nihei's artwork is amazing. One of the many draws towards his series is his ability to really just portray a story without words for very long stretches in a chapter. Now, admittedly, I'm not a really big fan of cyberpunk or futuristic kind of things, but certain things here and there have actually drawn my attention towards it. Spider-Man 2099 being one of the big ones in the realm of comic books, but mainly Nihei's works, as I think his usage of scale with his characters and the environments are just such a beauty to look at, and it's pure awe. It truly makes you feel like you're in this cold metal futuristic dystopia with very little hope. Again, his character designs, whilst being not as minimalist as something like Land of the Lustrous, a lot of the characters do kind of follow very similar appearances, if you will. There's not too much variety with the character designs in an EA work. You know, now this one actually covers multiple series at once, but anything Halloween aesthetic is so dope when they do it in manga. Whether it's just an artwork that the author is doing for the respective holiday, or if that's just the theme of the entire series, like with Soul Eater and Gray Man. Now, The Gray Man is an incredible series, which if you haven't read it, I would highly recommend it, and Soul Eater is a lot of fun. But the way that the worlds are constructed is amazing, specifically the clothing and everything to do with that and how that's centered. I'm more so looking at The Gray Man when I say that, and then the world and the way the world looks with Soul Eater, the sun and the moon, all of that is just amazing. It gives off a dark, creepy, and eerie feeling, but yet a familiarity and this kind of commercialism that Halloween has become. Even Death Note with its cover arts kind of gives off this Halloween-like feel to it, and that's probably just all of the different death stuff, but, you know, whatever, I'll lob it in there, the covers only. Also, I might as well as throw it out there, just in general, anything done by Murata, there is a key recognizable factor to everything that he draws. There's just everything. Like, you look at his artworks on just random characters, on Spider-Man, on One Punch Man, you can tell that it's Murata. Also, I'll shout out iShield21. But yeah, that's just some of my favorite aesthetics and manga period things that I really do like and enjoy just looking at without even reading it. Like, sometimes I'll just pull it up just to look at the pages. Obviously there were plenty of other series that I could have mentioned, as well as some series I'm pretty sure some of you expected me to mention, but we gotta switch it up every now and then. As always, this has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.